Hi, this is Kevin. Welcome to part two of my tutorial on conceptual data modeling. And in this session, we're going to begin to draw the ERD, the entity relationship diagram. Okay? So, how are we going to get started? Well, before we start, we need some ideas. Okay? And in most of my classes, you have a couple things available to you that are, the ideas from which you're going to draw the diagram. Um, we have a case description. Okay, we're going to be doing this for the student attendance system. And from the case descriptions, we have kind of all the facts. And these are the facts that one would find if one was doing systems analysis and actually engaging with the stakeholders for the project. Oh, I closed that, but you saw it, right? So, do you find these kind of case descriptions in the real world? No, you don't. Okay, this is a kind of a summary of the findings that you would have from your systems analysis activities. Okay. Um, in fact, you might have gone so far as you've created some kind of a process model from the requirements. So you might have use cases, or you might have user stories. Okay, so you've got something to drive your understanding of what you're going to support with the data that you're going to design, right? Most students in my class will have before they get to this activity. Oh, there it is. Uh, Before they get to this activity, they'll have also done what I call a Ragbag exercise. Okay, so what's that? Well, the Ragbag exercise is a brainstorming approach to coming up with the terms we're going to use when we create our ERD. Okay, and this is something you can do individually. This is something that you can do with a group of stakeholders. And if you want to know more about this, well, see the part one tutorial on Ragbag exercise. Okay, so this is the output. Okay, during the Ragbag exercise, we brainstormed about a whole bunch of terms that we might use on our ERD, and then we got a long list, and then we found a home for them in the categorization of either they were entity types, which in the practice people typically call entities, or attribute types, which people usually call attributes, or relationship types, which we usually call relationships. Or maybe one of the ideas that we came up with is just an important instance. It's not going to wind up on the ERD because instances don't have a home on the ERD. Okay? Or you may even have some terms left up here that you can't even categorize, like sort of interesting things that we talked about, but probably aren't going to have any kind of relationship to the ERD at all. Okay? So that's what you have when you start this, if you've done a ragbag exercise. Okay? All right, now so let's get the diagramming started. So in the current semester, which is the fall of 2021, this is the first one where we're using Lucid chart kind of exclusively to do the diagramming. And what we're using in the current semester is the free educational version of Lucid Chart. It's crippled in the sense that uh, unless you pay them their fee for the paid educational version, they only allow you three diagrams that are editable. Okay, and right now we don't have the paid version, so we're working around that. And so when we want to create a new diagram, if we already have three diagrams, and I have a whole lot of them, well, when we go up here and we click on New, and we want a lucid chart blank document, that's what we want. Well, it's going to warn us that only three of them are editable. And we have a way around that. But so we're just going to click on Create Document Anyway. Okay, and it's going to do some thinking. Now, over here on the left-hand side, we have the shape palette. Okay, so when it comes up, it doesn't include the shapes that we need for entity relationship diagrams. And here are the shapes. Here's what we're going to do to shapes. So the standard ones we're going to leave. The flowchart ones, which are for programming flowcharts, we're going to get rid of. So X that off. And this kind of general shapes, unfortunately, it's not what I'm looking for. So I'm going to get rid of that. Okay. And now I click on the button for shapes and I come to a list, and under E there's entity relationship. So I'm going to add that. And later on we're going to add another palette, but I'm not going to add that now. Okay. So and then we come over here and we click use selected shapes and we're done. Okay, so this is the diagram. And as we talked about, we're going to begin the diagramming. So here's how we're going to divide up the diagramming activity. I believe it's a good kind of a workflow for this. Before we start, we have kind of a rough list of what the entity types are, what the relationship types are, what the attribute types are. And again, what do people really call these in the field? Well, they don't call them types. They call them entities, relationships, and attributes. Okay? Why do we call them types? Well, so we really know what we're talking about. Okay? So in the first step, we're going to draw the entities. In the next part, we're going to draw the relationships. In the part after that, we're going to draw the attributes. Well, we don't really draw them. We're going to type them in. Okay. And then we're going to choose the ones that we want to be the unique identifiers. Okay, and then the very last thing that we're going to do is we're going to evaluate the model just to make sure that we think we're done. Okay, all right, so entity types: student, instructor, course offering, semester, class, meeting, registration, permission. Okay, so let's look at that. So let's start to create them. So the shape that I like to use these days is the second of these shapes. Okay, it's the one with two columns. I'm going to drag one of those out and I'm going to give it the name student. Okay, all right, and the next one is going to be instructor. Drag that out and have it be instructor, and we just have to double click on the name to get the name of the entity in there. And we're just going to use the names that we had on our list. So this is going to be, we're going to drag out this one is going to be course offering. And we're using all lowercase and words separated by underscores. And this is very popular in the data modeling field these days. It's the same kind of conventions that they use in Python. And in Python, they call this case snake case because it kind of looks like a snake. Okay. The next one is semester. Okay. And the next one is going to be class meeting. Class meeting. Okay. And the next one is going to be registration. Let's see that there's a student registered in the course. Registration. Okay. And let's put down permission. Okay. All right. Okay. Now, the artistic approach that I'm taking these days, you know, for the artwork, I'm using the two-column layout. That's going to allow us to convert these when we get to the next step in the process, which is going to be logical database design. We're going to need a two-column layout, and we're already going to have it. Okay, so that's why we're doing that. I also like to shade the title part of the box. I'm just going to click on each of these, and then there's a little icon up here for shaded header. So I'm going to shade all the headers. Okay. Well, I guess I didn't quite get that icon. Okay. All right. Got this. Okay. Well, I toggled that off. So this is looking pretty good. Now, what are we trying to model here? Well, we're trying to have enough entities that the data model will support a system for students to track their attendance. Well, students and instructors to track student attendance at classes at the university. Okay, and this is a pretty good start. Okay, now do I think that I have all of the entities? No, I'm a little suspicious that my system is going to need a user entity. Okay, because I'm going to have a couple of types of users, and they're either going to be either students or instructors. Okay, well, as long as I'm thinking about it, let me bring out another box. Okay, and I'll shade the header on that. And let's just call it let's call it system user. Okay. All right. I've got that. All right. So, am I ready to move on? I think I am. Now, the fact is that as we go through the modeling process and drawing the diagram and sort of evaluating it for goodness and sufficiency, we're probably going to think of other entities that we might want to introduce, and we can. Okay, but in the meantime, what we want to do is we want to make a good start, and this is a good start. Okay, so that's it for part one. I'll meet you in part two, where we're going to introduce relationships. Bye till then.